Let's get it from a 60,000 foot view to a 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
And then let's take that and say, okay, what do we have to do in the next year to get there? Then you take those goals and you say, what has to happen in the next 90 days? And then you say, what has to happen tomorrow?
Right.
It's that reverse engineering,
Yep.
But it all starts with having a vision.
I mean, it's coaching in cars, man.
A lot of limiting beliefs out there, thinking, how in the world am I going to accomplish something like that?
Not dissimilar to anybody.
The greatest risk we were afraid of that did not come to fruition is
If I started a new business tomorrow, the first thing I would do is hire a coach.
All right, welcome back to Coaching in Cars. I got my friend Jamie Porterfield with me, part founder in Waldrop Plumbing and HVAC.
Yeah.
So I kind of introduced you by name, but if you want to just introduce yourself in terms of what you guys do, tell me a little bit about the company, and then we'll dive into how it started.
Yeah. So Jamie Porterfield, I'm President and CEO of Waldrop Home Services. We're known in the community as Waldrop Plumbing, Heating, Air. So I've been part of this business since the early 2000s. We focus 100% on residential service, repairs, maintenance, installation for homeowners in kind of the upstate of South Carolina, a little bit into North Carolina. But yeah, that's our focus, what we do.
So I know you've been in this business for a long time.
Yes.
But if you could go all the way back and you could talk about what started the whole thing, what would you say started this business for you?
Well, I think if I go all the way back, I go all the way back to a conversation that my dad and I had one afternoon sitting in his K5 Blazer at his office, and getting ready to go off to Clemson, and he just asked me, what the plan was, and what was I really sure. And I just told him that, I wanted to own my own business. And at the time, it was a machine shop. I really had a passion for that, and so that's really what started I don't know if you call it an itch or what it was, but that's where the initial foundation was for entrepreneurship and just wanting to do my own thing in business. So that's where it comes from.
So did you end up going to Clemson then?
I did end up going to Clemson.
So then you get out.
Yeah.
And you're like, no more machine shop, gonna go do this thing.
Well, it's kind of weird. I did the co-op program. So if you don't know what co-op program is, it's basically you go to school a semester, you work a semester. So I did that throughout my college career. I actually worked for Big Pens, the people that make pens, and got an offer. All of this with the intention around machine design, and they were here in Fountain Inn. We're actually in Fountain Inn right now.
Yeah.
They were just on the other side of 385, their R&D facility. So I worked for them for a number of years, and this Connecticut basically offered them to come back, and so Big decided to go back. They offered for me to continue with them, and I just didn't want to go. I'm a Southern boy. I didn't want to go, so
Yeah.
I had to find a new avenue. So that's where I kind of wrapped up my co-op program with O'Neill Engineering, and so that's where the introduction into HVAC design, fire protection design, plumbing design, and so that's kind of where that I started to touch on that in this side of the space. So I did that for a number of years. Actually got an offer when I came out of school, worked for O'Neill, built some carpet fiber plants, did some Michelin work for them, and just really decided I enjoyed being out in the field. And so I know this seems like a long story, but I got introduced to another local contractor, and so that process led me kind of a love for the HVAC industry, a love for residential work, and that's kind of how I perfected my craft, prior to being at Waldrop.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, coincidentally, talking about machine shop, one of my best friends owns this machine shop right here, Precision Machine.
Okay.
His name's Chris Myros. Amazing human. Shameless plug for Precision Machine, but they do super tight tolerance machine work.
Okay.
It's the second generation business. His dad started it, and then when his dad passed away, Chris took it over.
Okay.
But they're awesome. But that's just a funny little coincidence that we're driving by there. If you live in the South, you talk about being a Southern boy. If you live in the South and you decide to move north, that's going to gain you two things. One, it's going to gain you a lot of nicknames.
Right.
Probably, and it might gain you a really expensive ticket back because people are going to say, like, don't come back if you're going up there. It's like a whole other country.
Right.
But that's funny. So when we first sat down, I would say one of the most compelling things about you in our conversation was you're just a huge advocate of having a third party help with the business and coaching. And obviously, that's what I do. That's what my business is. But it just really struck me that you've built this incredible, profitable business where honestly, the brand recognition here for what you have is insane. So you've built this business and you did it with a lot of help, so to speak.
Yes.
It's not all by you. And I feel like a lot of business owners here try to muscle it through. So I just want to hear from your perspective, like, when did you say we need to seek other people's opinions and opportunities in the coaching space, and how did that kind of come about?
When coaching was kind of introduced for us, I think first and foremost, business owners really struggle with pride. And I think, first and foremost, Mr. Waldrop has an incredible name. And so shout out to him and what he built in this business and having an opportunity to, just continue his legacy. And so, being a prideful owner, I think, and then having a lack of success, whether it be with building up employees or whether it's building up the right cash flow or the right profits, and just struggling through that initially, I knew in my gut that there had to be a better way. And so I think one thing is just having curiosity about that and why you're struggling, and then beginning to ask questions. I'd always been involved in different industry groups, and I think ACA, which is Air Conditioning Contractors of America, they have multiple avenues. And I had a leader once that obviously invested in me and just said, hey, look, if you're going to develop as a human, if you're going to develop as a employee, as a leader, you need to get involved in a mixed group or an industry group of like-sized peers. And I think being involved in those mixed groups is where the coaching part came to me. And so the curiosity of where other people are having success, how they're having success, having curiosity about having their success, and being open to being wrong, first and foremost, is where that came from. And so I got involved with a group, got curious, and then just started seeing other places that people were having success, other things that people were having opportunities for coaching. And so that's kind of where the initial part of that came from. I've been involved in so many different levels of coaching, personally coaching, business coaching, there's a lot. I am a huge advocate, not only for just business owners, but just coaching and life in general. There's no reason to struggle, especially today, with the things that we're afforded.
talk about you just had this feeling, and every owner that I work with and all the companies I work with, they say the exact same thing. I just had this feeling, and how we define that in the coaching world is you hit this ceiling where you say, man, something is, you might be profitable, you might have stumbled upon really good success, but there's just something that's off. You know, your financial statement says one thing, but in your gut you're saying it just feels like there's more there. And we usually classify that as like, that's a ceiling inside of your business. And really the way to push through that is to gain perspective, and that's to change. It's the old adage of what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. So if what got you here is time, effort, energy, grit, sacrificing the vacation, sacrificing the family time, all of those things, that's not going to get you to the next stage in life. You have to constantly be changing and adapting inside of your business, and we call that dead man walking. So it's like, I'm sure you have friends that own businesses that when you talk to them, every time you can just see the deadness in their eyes of like, yeah, things are good, everything's good, and you can just see in their eyes that they're just suffering.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, man, if you would just seek some help, like get in a peer group, hire a coach, just do something different to get you out of that ceiling. But some businesses take that to the grave.
Oh, they do.
You know,
you see so many owners, they just, I don't know if it's just they're closed off or they're just afraid or what it is, but it's I agree totally with what you're saying. They are like a dead man walking when you see them.
There's a better way.
There is a better way.
There's a better way. Well, awesome. So you've built this really cool business. I always ask every business owner, 3 to 5 years out, where are you going? What's the lighthouse on the horizon? How are you going to get there?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a big question. I think one of the things that again comes from coaching is that, you know, we all need others to be successful. We need our employees, and so when we bring employees in, we want them to have a home at Waldrop. And so I think in order for people to have a home, they have to feel like they have a career path, and they have to see a vision, and the vision has to be big enough to include all their dreams. And so I think we work really hard at Waldrop about having a long-term vision. We have a 10-year plan that we're about 4 years in, and that's to exceed 100 million in revenue, between North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And we paint a picture for our team members and what that means for each one of them. That means that we're a growing business. We're going to be here for a long time. It means that they have tons of opportunities after I'm gone, and that they have paths to, if you come in the call center, you have a path to leadership or managership or to a different position. The same thing with technicians, and it's really all about growth. And so I would start that answer with that. Number one, the vision has to be big enough to contain their dreams, and so we really focus on that. But yeah, 100 million in revenue, it's not all about 100 million in revenue, but that's kind of our goal, and that's what we're working on. We have a very strategic plan related to customers, how many calls we have to have, how many technicians, how many vehicles we have to have, how many plumbers, installers, how many locations, and so we just believe it or not, we break that down all the way to a daily component that we measure against, and we meet on that every single day. And we do a deeper dive once a week, once a quarter. Our team gets together, we celebrate the highs and the lows and adjust and keep moving. So I don't know if that's all the answer you're looking for, but that's kind of what we do.
The answer I'm looking for is the honest one, and that was the honest one.
That's the honest one.
BHAG, that's what you're talking about. That 10-year, that's Jim Collins' term, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. It's the one that makes you feel a little uncomfortable, a little excited. I call that the 48 inch. Does it pass the 48 inch test? Because when you were a kid and you went to the amusement park, you could only ride a certain amount of rides up to 48 inches. And then all of a sudden there was this whole world of rides above 48 inches. But we felt like all these emotions of, I'm scared, I'm terrified, you're anxious. Like when you feel that feeling, that's the goal. That's the lighthouse, right? And then you brilliantly said, we're looking at it on a daily. There's things in between there that you're doing where you break that down from 10 years to a 3-year, and you say, okay, 3 years, what does that look like for us to put pressure on that 10-year goal? Well, that means we have to have this many locations, this many techs, this many salespeople, this many that, like, you get this, you take something that's very fuzzy and untangible and you say, let's extract a little bit of tangibility. Let's get it from a 60,000 foot view to a 30,000 foot view. And then let's take that and say, okay, what do we have to do in the next year to get there and put pressure on that 3-year? Well, we have to do this. And these are our 5 to 7 goals for the year. And then you take those goals and you say, what has to happen in the next 90 days to achieve those? And then you say, what has to happen to tomorrow? It's that reverse engineering, but it all starts with having a vision and getting everybody in the organization and on the team bought in to what's our just cause inside of this business, what's our lighthouse that we're going towards. And then we can start to get tactical with it and monitor our performance and make sure we're on track. But I can't stay on track of something I don't even know exists. At the end of the day. So that's brilliantly said. You take that 10-year target and you break it down to tangible. What am I doing today? So many businesses struggle to the, what do I do tomorrow from a planning standpoint? They just go fight fires. You said that so eloquently. I think when I think about the years that we really struggled, it was because we didn't have, maybe we had an annual plan, and maybe we didn't think about it in a great detail. It was just a plan, but we didn't break it down all the way to a daily level. And so those were years where we were not satisfied with the results that we got at the end of the year. We didn't hit a plan, or we didn't hit a budget, and it was because we didn't spend the time. We didn't break down each one of those goals. We didn't communicate how we're going to be successful and where each person played their part. Each person had a number. Each person, how they contributed. It's so amazing what happens when you just communicate goals with people. I remember when I worked in the construction world, we had said we wanted to help 200,000 families by a certain date. That was our BHAG. We were at 40,000 at that point, and we all fought so hard. But every day and every year, we would just chip away, and it was like the less shitty approach. Like every day is just 1% better. Over and over and over again. And if we're monitoring what yesterday's performance was, I know how to be a little better today. And it was just constantly moving the goalposts, but at an acceptable rate where we knew we were growing as a company. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's amazing when you look back and you look at a 10-year target and you hit it in 6 years and you're like, man, what happened? I didn't even think that was attainable, and we did it in less time than we said we were going to. Well, a lot of it was just right people, right seat on the bus, a really good executional plan, and monitoring our performance, like maniacally obsessing over the results that we were outputting in the business over and over again. All of a sudden you look up and you look at the gain and you say, whoa, we did something amazing in a short period of time. I think about where we've had a lot of success, and it's really been more focus on the processes that we do, satisfaction of customers, doing a really good job, making sure we run through our processes every single time, and having a little less focus on the number side. Now, we just spent a lot of time talking about numbers, and numbers are very important, but when you get down to it,
We can't manage numbers,
Yeah.
you know, as leaders and managers. We're managing processes, and when you have a really solid process, and you're managing against that process and measuring against how well you're doing on that process, I think that's really where we have gained a ton of success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, living what we talk about. You know, if we talk about high quality, then measuring how many times are we doing high quality. If we talk about customer satisfaction, how many times are we having customer satisfaction, you know?
Yeah.
And measuring on those things instead of saying, well, you know, hey, did we hit $100 on every single call? You know, those kind of things are not where we have tons of success.
Yeah.
And people can get behind those kind of metrics that you're measuring against.
Yeah. Performance is important from the standpoint of there's a minimal acceptable result.
Sure.
Because we've built this machine that we know will produce a particular outcome. If you think about, you know, a bottling company, if the whole purpose is to put a 7-Up logo on a bottle and then all of a sudden we get to the end of the line and it's a Sunkist bottle, it's like, well, it's not performing the way that it's supposed to be performing. Like, there's a particular minimum standard.
Yep.
But a good dime phrase for a lot of companies out there would be results and performance and KPIs, and they're very important. And in every business that we have, we make them pick the most important leading indicators in their business.
Yeah.
But what they are is they're a measurement result of living out our purpose, our core values, and having a well-defined and executed process in our business. If we do those things at a high level, they will output a particular result, which we have to monitor that result to see if we're living out our purpose, our mission, and our values inside of our organization,
100%,
right?
yeah.
So it's that little shift of, we're not managing solely by the KPI. We're managing, are we living out our purpose, our mission, and our values? And if we are, it will output this result. So we have to look at the result to see how well we are against our values.
Yes.
That little shift changes everything.
Yep.
You know, so Waldrop Home Services.
Yeah.
Y'all call Wally. Who came up with the slogan? I gotta know.
We have a creative agency that we work with that we spend a ton of time on there, and they actually came up with that.
I love it.
Wally came from, it's a little bit of, started with a design in and around Mr. Waldrop.
Yep.
And then
Dude, when we first moved here, I saw the truck before I heard the commercials.
Right.
Then I heard the commercials, and I told my wife, I was like, what a catchy phrase, especially for the South.
Right.
You know, it's that one, and there's another one here in town that I hear the song all the time.
Yeah.
And they just repeat in my head. But yeah, and you know, when I think about if I ever told somebody, hey, they're having an issue, y'all gotta call Wally.
Right.
Like, that's the slogan. It's
that's
incredible. It's the stroke of genius. I love it.
I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't.
That's okay. Give credit where credit's due.
That's right.
You have plenty of credit coming your way.
Right.
Dude, you built an amazing business. I'm proud of you. You should be proud. Didn't do it on your own.
Did not.
Coaching was a part of it.
100%.
Lots of great people around you. Lots of great systems. Documenting processes, monitoring performance, clear purpose, clear goals. Those are the things that I teach and preach every single day to businesses. If everybody did it, the world would be a better place.
It would. There's no reason to struggle. There's somebody that's done it before you.
Yeah. And even if they, you know, there's a lot of people out there in the coaching space that haven't owned a business or whatever, and they just went and got certified. I would argue stay away from those people because they're not qualified. But if you've lived inside of a business and maybe you haven't, like I never owned a business, but I lived in a business that went from 18 million to 120 using a progressive operating system and coaching, and I was a part of the leadership team.
But you operated inside a business.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
And that's the key, is I can help see around some corners at 30 mil, 50, 60, 90, 120. Like, I've been through it, live, bullets flying, doing these things and helping people see things that they're not. And those are the coaches you need. Those are the coaches the upstate needs. That's what the businesses here need, is somebody who has been along on the ride and knows what you're going through and can help you get out of the suck, so to speak. So.
I would echo what you're saying. Just because somebody's owned a business and coaching doesn't necessarily make them the best coach. there are some incredible operators that may have not owned a business that are coaching, and I would dare say that those are the people that you need to be coaching with.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
Yeah, the people that can help you set apart a system that pulls you out
Yeah.
of the day-to-day operation and launches your business forward with momentum is like, that's a game changer. So, dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy man. We've had 2 meetings and this was incredible. It never ceases to.
Thanks for bringing the car. Incredible car.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. We got another one. Maybe sometime we'll do a part 2 to this.
Okay.
And we'll go on the other one. But yeah, man, I appreciate you, and thanks so much for advocating for the coaching world. And thanks for, I'm sure we'll use your service at some point, and many people watching this show will too. So thank you for that.